Okay, so my name is Shawn. I am a product specialist here at Club Runner, and with me is Omar, who is also a product specialist.
Hello,
And
everyone.
today we'll go over some Club Runner 101. So just to go over some of the things that we will cover today. Since this is a 101 session, we're going to briefly go over some of the major modules in Club Runner, which include email services, membership and club management, RI integration, attendance, excuse me, and dues and billing, as well as reports. So let's go ahead and get started.
Okay, so while Shawn gets the website ready, I just want to let you guys know that you can send your questions to us in the Q&A chat box. We'll definitely get to all of them, and for any questions that we don't get to, we will definitely have a post-conference wrap-up, and your questions will be answered on the Club Runner community forum. So definitely give us your questions and continue sharing your ideas in the chat. I'll give it back to Shawn now.
Thank you, Omar. Okay, so now we are on our website here. So just before we dive in, I do have a poll ready for you guys. So we're going to send that out here in just a second. So for the poll, we'd like to know how familiar you guys are currently with the various modules in Club Runner. So you should see that pop up on your screen. If you could just answer those for us, that would be great. And as you guys are doing that, we will go ahead and continue with the session. So first thing we'll talk about is logging in. So in order to do stuff in Club Runner, you need to log in. So first step is to open up your club's or district's website. So here's our test account. On the very top right, you'll see there's a member login link. You're going to go ahead and click on that. And here you can see my information is populated. But if you're not sure of your login name or your password, you can select one of these three links. So forgot login name, forgot password, or new user. And that will take you to our retrieve login information page. From here, you can enter in your last name and your email address. The system will send you an email with a link that you can use to retrieve your login name and reset your password. So if you're not sure your information, you can't log in, definitely try to reset the password. So we're going to go ahead and log in here. And you can see I'm logged in at the top right. I now see member area rather than member login. So we're going to go ahead and click member area. And the first item we are going to talk about is going to be sending emails in Club Runner. So very important to communicate with the club. So once we are logged into the member area, you'll see our new dashboard here. And if you scroll down, you'll see there is a section here for communication. And there's a button that says send email. We're going to go ahead and click on that. And another way to get there, if you're not on the admin page, is you can click communication and then click email services directly below. So now that we are here, you can see we're on the create email page. On the left-hand side under step 1, we have all of our recipients. So there are they're the active and honorary members. We have other users, inactive members, and this one here is actually special, club executives and directors. So if you are actually there's one that if you are an executive of the club, you can contact club executives from other clubs within the district. So you do have to be defined as an executive to access that. There is the custom distribution list as well as contact groups. And in order to contact the contacts within the contact groups, you do need to be at least a level 50. And we will touch on the access levels a little later on in the session. So you can select your recipients here from the left. And then on the right, under step 2, we have a box here to enter the subject. And below that, we have these items. They're called mail merge fields. So if we look down at the body of the email, we'll see $, nickname $. what that'll do is when you send out the email to the recipient, it will replace that $ nickname $ with the recipient's actual name. So you don't have to worry about entering in the personal information manually. The system will handle that through the mail merge field. So you can go through and add them from here. And if we scroll down, we do have the option to attach items to the email. We have an option to send a list of recipients as an attachment. So if you send the email to me, I can see who else was sent that email. You can copy yourself on this email. And the last option down here, we have the option to send the email right away, or we can schedule it for a date in the future. So if you want to schedule it for next week, we can do that using the schedule option. If you have a email that you're not ready to send out, you're still working on it, you can always click Save as Draft, and that will save it so that you can come back to it at a later date. Okay, just bear with me. That is we're just on a test account here. Okay, perfect. So next thing we are going to talk about is defining the club executives. So in order to do that, on the menu bar near the top, this light blue menu bar, we're going to click Organization. And then on the gray menu bar directly below, we're going to click Executives and Directors. And we can see here that the list of executives and directors pops up. And with this, we can go back to previous years to see the past executives. And of course, we can go to the next year as well. From here, we can also edit existing positions. So we see here, I am currently defined as the vice president. If I go ahead and click edit, we can see here, we can select the position. So if we want to change the position to president-elect, we can change that. And we can also change the person who holds that position. So you'll note that we can change the title to whatever we'd like. By default, it will be the same name as the position, but you do have control over that and you can change that. And we'll go ahead and save that. And we can see that that has been updated. Now, one thing I do want to note is that if you are a Rotary Club, the positions that Rotary currently tracks are the President, Secretary, Executive Secretary, Treasurer, Membership Chair, and Foundation Chair. So if the club is set up for integration and you define one of those positions, they will synchronize up to Rotary International. Other positions can still be defined in Club Runner. They just won't be synchronized up to Rotary since Rotary does not track that information. So next, we will talk about the club management, so updating club information. So on the menu bar near the top, we're going to click Admin. And then on the gray menu bar directly below, we'll click Club Info and Settings. And here's where you're going to define all of your club-specific information. So at the top here, you can see we have a place to change the image. So we can do that. And then if we scroll down below, we have different information like club details, contact information, the meeting information, and we also have settings. So in order to change the club details, we just have to click on this Edit button, and it gives you access to the basic club details. One thing to note is that the club ID cannot be edited through here. If you don't have a club ID, just contact our Club Runner support and we'll be able to enter that in for you. Just provide us the club ID. Everything else, though, you can certainly go in and update. And down below, we have the contact info. So I'll go ahead and click the edit button here. And you'll notice we have mailing address and the contact details. And beside that, you'll see there's this little circular icon that indicates that this information synchronizes up to Rotary International. So if the club does have that synchronization enabled, any information that is entered in this page will synchronize up to Rotary International. And on the right here, we have the meeting information. So we'll go ahead and click edit. And here we can define a date and time that the club meets, as well as any additional meeting comments. So if there's some additional information you want to include, you can do that through here. A new option is the online meeting option. So if your club meets online, you can enable this option here. And that'll open up these options down below where you can enter in the meeting URL, as well as provide private details for the meeting. Now, please note that this private details are going to be private to specifically the member. So if you're a member, you'll see this information on the website, but if you're not logged in, you won't see it. So it's a great way to include passwords to specific meetings as well. And if we scroll down below, again, we see the meeting location, the circular icon. We do have some fields that are required in order to synchronize up to Rotary International. These fields are required, so do make sure that you enter this information as well. And again, that will synchronize up to Rotary. And down at the very bottom, we do have the option to update the latitude and longitude of this map based on the address that is entered. Go ahead and exit that. I'm going to go ahead and click the edit button here for the settings section. This is the final section. And this option it's important to note it is for the entire club. And it is the option to hide the member photos from public. So for example, we do have a built-in club executives page. And it will display the member photos if they have it. So if this is checked, it will hide all member photos from the website for members of the public. So just keep in mind that that is a setting for the entire club and not just a specific member. So now that we've gone through the club information, next we're going to talk about membership management. So on the light blue menu bar near the top, we're going to go ahead and click membership. And on the menu bar directly below, we're going to click members list. Perfect. And now you see our active member list here. On the right, we do have three options. We have the Add New Member Classic. So this is the Add New Member form that we've had previously. We have recently updated it, so we're not going to focus too much on this one. Next, we have Transfer New Member. So this will actually allow you to search the RI database for members and add them directly. We will talk more about this in our RI integration session tomorrow. So there is that option. And lastly, we do have an Add New Member button here. This is our new form. So I'm going to go ahead and click this button here. And we're going to add a new member. Okay, so once this is loaded, you can see that here's our new form. And all of the fields that are orange are required. So we'll go ahead and start this. You can enter the rotary number if you have it. And if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see the integration options. These are disabled because this is a test site. We don't have the integration enabled. But if you did, you'd be able to either opt in or opt out of synchronizing this new member to Rotary. So let's go ahead and enter some information here. Okay. Perfect. All right, and we'll go down to the bottom here, and you'll see the login name auto-populates. So by default, it will be first name dot last name, and then the club runner club ID, and the temporary password will by default be the club runner ID. Down below, we do have the option to send an email notification to the member. So the email will let them know, welcome to the club, here's how you reset your password, and that way they can get logged in. For this, we don't need that, so I'll go ahead and disable that, and we're going to click, actually, let's scroll up here. I'm going to just change the join date to August 1st, and I'm going to add member. Perfect. So now you can see that I am on the new members profile. What we're going to do, we're going to go back to the member list. So we're going to go back to the active member list. We're going to find that member. And now we're going to look into terminating a member. So let's go ahead and just terminate the member that we just created. So once we find the member on the active member list, we're going to go ahead and click change status. And we're going to click terminate membership. And now it's going to ask us for a little bit more information. So X member as of, let's put the 8th. And it'll also ask you for a reason. Let's just say business pressure, doesn't matter. And if you scroll down to the bottom, we do have the option here to either report this termination to Rotary or not to report this termination to Rotary. So for the most part, if the club is opted in for integration, you will want to synchronize this up to Rotary. In the case where the club has terminated the member through Rotary International already, and you just need to terminate the member in Club Runner, then you can select the do not report this termination to Rotary. So in most cases, you will want to synchronize, but if the member is already terminated at Rotary, or you don't need to terminate them through Rotary, then you can select do not report. And then just select the terminate member. And you can see now the member is no longer there. And on the left here, we're going to go ahead and click inactive member lists. And if we scroll down a little bit, we'll see the member that we just terminated. So this leads to the next point that I want to talk about is if a member leaves a club and then rejoins later on, instead of going in and adding the member information again, what you can do is you can actually activate the member from the inactive member list. So from here, we can, again, under the inactive member list, find the member. We're going to click change status. This time, we're going to activate the membership. It'll ask us for the date joined club and date joined Rotary, as well as the membership type. So that's fine. We joined today. And we're going to go ahead and click activate membership. And we can see we are now active. So now this member is back on our roster here as an active member. So while we're on the member profile, let's take a quick look at the different options we have. So under the personal tab, we have the member details. So this is all your basic member details. If we scroll down a little bit, we have the home address information, as well as the work address information, and we have custom fields if the club has set some up. The next tab here is the Rotary tab, and in here we have the Rotary membership details. So we can see here when the member joined Rotary, when the member joined the club, as well as their status and the Rotary member number if they have one. And if we scroll down, we also have the club attendance information. So that information is here. If the member does want to post more information about themselves on their member profile, they can do that through the biography tab on their member profile. And you can see here we have a few different types of biographies that they can go in and add some more details about themselves to help the club get to know them a little better. Next, we have our commitments. So we can see here the different commitments that this member is a part of. At the moment, because we just added this member, there is no commitments, but if they register for some events or some volunteer tasks, they will pop up here. I'm going to go ahead and click settings. And settings is where you're going to find the club access level as well as the login name, and I have the ability to reset the password. Since I am the administrator, I can reset the password for other members. If you're logged in viewing your own member profile, you can also change your password. I'm going to go ahead and click edit here and just show you that the access level can be changed through here. So we do have a few different access levels ranging from 30 to 90, 30s being the highest and is site administrator, 40 is president, 50 is club executive, 60 is editor, 70 is member, and then 80 is a restricted member, so I can't email, and then level 90 is no access. And if you guys do want more information about the different access levels, we do have an article here on our knowledge base at clubrunnersupport.com. It's called What Access Levels Are There in Clubrunner? It outlines the different access levels and what they provide access to. So if you're not sure, definitely check out that article and that'll outline all of that information for you. I'll go ahead and click cancel. Now the last tab here is the privacy tab. And here is where the member can control specific privacy options within the member profile. So here we have our communication preferences. They can opt in or out of receiving certain information, as well as we have the search privacy options as well. This is used, as an example, is used in the mobile app. So you can control who can see your information. And down below, we have the RI integration privacy options. Right now, again, because we don't have it set up, we are opted out, but the club member can go in and opt in or out of specific, synchronizing specific information up to Rotary. And the last thing I do want to touch on the left here is other users. So if I go ahead and click the other user list, you'll add the other user just like you do regular member. You can change their access level, but the other users are not considered active members of the club. So they might be people that you hire, for example, for help with the website. They're not really an active member of the club. They don't need to be synchronized up to Rotary International, but they do need to be able to log into Club Runner. So in that case, you would want to use an other user to add them into the system. The next thing we are going to talk about is, and again, very briefly, because we do have a session tomorrow at 1 p.m. A local time here in Toronto, so Eastern time, is the RI integration. So to get there, we have our RI integration tab, and down below we have a bunch of different options. We'll just go ahead and click RI integration settings for now. You'll see right now we don't have it enabled, but the RI integration allows the club to synchronize data between Club Runner and Rotary International. And we've kind of already seen where it's used. So if you're adding executives or members, that information is synchronized between both systems. One thing I do want to note is that when you're setting up the automatic integration, the automatic integration flows from Club Runner up to Rotary International. But if you make a change at Rotary International, it will not automatically update down into Club Runner. You'll have to manually pull that down, and you can do that using the compare and synchronize page. So we do have a tool that you can use for that, but just keep in mind that if you're setting up the automatic integration, the automatic works from Club Runner up to Rotary, but not the other way around. And we do have an article here on how to set it up. So when you set it up, there's kind of two parts to it. You have to first set it up through Rotary, logging into your My Rotary account, and then you have to enable it in Club Runner. So we do have an article here that walks you through the steps. One thing I do want to point out is the different vendor types. There is, Rotary offers a read and an update. So read vendor type is allows the vendor to read data from Rotary International, but does not allow the vendor like Club Runner to push information up to Rotary International. So if changes are made in Club Runner with a read integration, that will not synchronize up to Rotary International. If you do have the update option, then that is what allows Club Runner to update the data at Rotary International. So I do want to just make that distinction between the two. Once the integration is enabled, there will be some additional settings that we have here. And let's pull it up. I have an article. Oops. Sorry, not sure what happened there. There we go. Should be back up. Okay, so yeah, so once the integration is enabled, you'll have different options. The club can opt in to synchronizing certain information up to Rotary. By default, what I would recommend is opting into all of them. And that way you can allow the member to decide what they don't want to synchronize up to Rotary. So yeah, once you set this up, you enable it through Club Runner. We do recommend enabling all of those checkboxes and just updating the privacy. That way the individual member can control what information they want to synchronize up to Rotary through that privacy tab that we looked at. Okay. Next module we are going to quickly take a look at is the attendance module. So on the light blue menu bar near the top, we're going to click attendance, and directly below we're going to click meetings. Okay, and here you can see our list of meetings. And again, we can go to previous years to view all of the information from there. And to add a meeting, it's very simple. Just click the Add Meeting button. It'll populate the meeting date. You can definitely change that. You can also add in a description if you'd like. And we're going to go ahead and just click Save. And you can see here is our new meeting. So to input the attendance, we're going to go ahead and just click the meeting here, and it'll open up. You'll see right now we have 0. But in order to take the attendance, all we have to do is simply go through and check the members that have attended. Let's go ahead and do that here. And I'll just go ahead and save that. That's enough. And you'll see now, okay, perfect. So we have 50% that have attended. One thing I do want to note is that we do have an add-on module for barcode scanners. So if the club does have that, the club can actually scan the barcodes and then just import the text file into the system in Club Runner, and it'll automatically mark those members as attended the meeting. So we do have an additional module for that if the club is interested. Next, we'll take a look at the Guests tab. So we're going to scroll down, and we can add a guest. From here, we can select the guest type. So we have Rotarian, speaker, guest of member, or other. I'm going to go ahead and just click guest of member. And let's put that. We do have to check that we receive consent, and we'll go ahead and click Save. And we can see here the guest has been added to this meeting. So easy to add the guests. And last thing we are going to talk about is the makeups. So I'm going to go ahead and click the makeups tab here. And when we scroll down, we see we have the option to add makeups. So I can go in and actually add a makeup for a member directly from here. Or if right now we don't have any that have any eligible makeups, but if a member or more than one member had a banked makeup, you could use this auto assign makeups for all members to apply that makeup to this meeting. So very easy to apply makeup. Just click this button. It'll handle all of them for you. Of course, you do want to do this after you take the attendance, but you do have the option to do it for all of the members at once rather than going one by one for each member. So once that information is entered, If we scroll back up, we see that right now the status is open. We can go ahead and click this close link, and what that'll do is it'll save that information to the reports. So we'll go ahead and close. And you can see here it now turns green. So we have that green background that indicates it's closed. And now we know that this information will be reflected on our reports here on the left. Okay. Now, once we have that done, another thing I want to take a look at in the attendance module here on the left is the settings. So I'm going to go ahead and click attendance rules and settings on the left. And up at the top here, the first option you'll see is the makeup eligibility window. So the club can customize when or how long a makeup is valid for. So right now it's set for 14 days. So that means if I do a makeup today, it's valid for the next 14 days as well as the past 14 days. So if I missed a makeup last week, we can enter in a makeup for today and have that apply to that meeting. And if we scroll down here, we have the different membership types, and we can actually control how they're counted in the system. So for example, active members are set to always count. This means that they are going to count towards the total percentage, whether they attend or not. So if they attend, it'll count. If they don't, it'll still count. With honorary members, we have it set to count if attended. So this means that if they do join, they do attend, they will be counted towards the total percentage. We also have another option here, never count, which we can see is actually used for exempted members. And that just means whether they join or not, they never count towards the total percentage. So here we do have the excused members and the exempted members. So if you do have members that fall under these categories, you can come into here, click the members link, and then you can add the member directly from here. So it'll ask you which member, when it is effective on, and just go ahead and click save. We're going to go ahead and go back. Let's scroll down, and the last item we want to talk about here is the leave of absence. So if you have a member that does require leave of absence, again, you can do this under the settings. You're going to go ahead and just click leave of absence. So we're going to click this link. We're going to click add leave of absence, and we'll see search for member. So let's just pick a member here. Okay, well, we can enter in a reason, and we can set when this is valid for. So we can do August 1st to August 31st, so the full month. And we'll go ahead and click add. And you can see now they have the leave of absence entered into the system. Once that August 31st date has passed, they'll still show up on the leave of absence list. You don't want to delete them from here, but they will start counting towards the attendance after this date. And lastly, you'll notice on the left here, we do have a bunch of different reports. So the first two here are the member list reports. So if you want a nice little list to check off who's attended, to make it easier for entering the attendance later on, we do have these options here. So as you can see, this is the more in-depth version. So we have a column for a checkbox, cash or check, and then we have a few other options here on the right. If the club wants something a little simpler, we do have a simple version as well. We also have some other reports here. So we have attendance report by year, monthly club report, customized attendance report, and the guests report. So if you do want to look into more in depth the different information within the module, you can definitely use those reports. They are very helpful in viewing all of that information. Okay. And moving right along, next module we are going to take a look at is the dues and billing module. So on the light blue menu bar near the top, to get there, click Organization. And then on the menu bar directly below, click Executives and Directors. Oh, no, not Executives and Directors. We're going to click Dues and Billing. I apologize. Here we go. Perfect. Okay, so we can see here we have a few invoices that we have created. Just want to note that we will briefly go over the module, but if you guys do want a more in-depth look, we do have a financials session tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Our time, so Eastern time here in Toronto. So do please join us then for a more in-depth look at the dues and billing module. But for now, the dues and billing module will allow the club to not only create invoices, but send them out, as well as enter and track payments. So as we can see here, let's open up one of these invoices that we've created. Okay, we can see here on this invoice, we have 2 line items. So we have one for dues, we have one for lunch, and we can see we can actually select specific members to receive that specific line item. So if I go down to view individual invoices, I'll just take a second there. We have a few invoices to view. From here, we can view the different invoices. So we can see that this member here, Erica, has both dues and lunch, whereas Vera here only has the dues. So we can really customize the invoices, and it is fairly flexible. And just to see what it'll look like, if we click this view/print, we'll see here is the actual invoice view. So I'll go ahead and just close that. Just wanted to show you guys what that looks like. On this page, we also have the option to email these out. So you can select all and then email selected invoices, or you can even email them individually. So it's up to the club. So in terms of payment, in order to enter the payment, on the left here, we have the payment entry page. Now, I do want to note that if the club does have the online payment module set up through Club Runner, then the club can accept online payments through the dues and billing module. And what that'll do is that'll automatically integrate the payments within Club Runner. So if a member makes a payment online using a credit card, it'll automatically reflect in Club Runner. You don't have to worry about going in and actually entering the payment. So here we can see we have a basic view here for entering payments. If they pay by cash or check, anything other than the integrated online payments, we can do it from here. And if I click a member, you'll see that their account balance is here. Let's see. Oh, see, here we go. So Vera, we can see that Vera currently owes $300. So we know how much they owe versus how much they've paid. And if we do want a better overview, we can even click the account statements on the left. And we can see a list of all of the members here, as well as their account balance. So this page is really useful for finding out which members have paid versus which members still have remaining balance on their account. So we can see here that Vera does have the 300, and Erica here is all paid out, the balance of 0. If we want to take a look more in depth, we can click Show Transactions, and we can actually view a history of all of the transactions. Another point that I wanted to point out is that we do offer exporting to QuickBooks. So on the left here, if you click Export to QuickBooks, it'll come up with all of the invoices. You can certainly set which date range you want, and then click Show Transactions. And then depending on which version you're using, you can export to QuickBooks Desktop or export to QuickBooks Online. So we do have that. Once you export to QuickBooks Online or QuickBooks Desktop, you can then import it into your version of QuickBooks. So nice and easy way to make sure the information is in QuickBooks if the club uses that as well. And last thing I do want to mention here on the left is the configuration settings. So go ahead and click on that. This is where you're going to enter in all of the billing address for the club. We do have a few different options. The one I really want to point out is down here at the bottom. Like I mentioned earlier, if the club does have the online payment option, that will be available here. So if you do want to enable it, you can do that through configuration settings and then selecting the online payment account and then just clicking save. And we do have some reports here on the left. So if you do want to review the monthly balance report, debits and credits report, we also have an email archive so you can view when the invoices were sent out. So all of those reports are there. So it's a great module to use to easily send out invoices and have the members pay for those invoices. And like I said, this was just a brief introduction. If you guys do want to learn more in depth about this module, we do have a financial session tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Toronto time. So that's Eastern time. Okay, we're coming down here. We have a few more items to quickly look at. Next module I want to quickly take a look at is the committees module. So if you click on, we're already here, but we can click organization and then click on the committees link directly below. This will take us to our committee module, which will allow the club to set up various committees and assign members to that committee. On the left here, we have a yearly committee and we also have a standing committee. So the difference is the yearly committee belongs to a specific year. As you can see here, we are on the yearly committees and we can go back and we'll see that we have these committees for each individual year. So for example, the website committee will change over the next year and we might have different members. Whereas standing committee, I'll go ahead and click on it so I can show you, do not belong to a specific year. So they are standing. And a good example is past presidents. Regardless of the year, if you are a past president, you are a past president. And so that would be a good example of the purpose of a standing committee. So it doesn't belong to a particular year. Let's go back to view yearly committee. And we do have a few committees here. Let's go ahead and add a new committee real quick. Okay, we're going to add a conference committee. We can set the director, so president is okay. And let's go ahead and save. You can enter in a description. You can even associate it to a previous year committee. We don't want to do that, so we'll go ahead and just click save. And we can see here the conference is listed under the president here. So to add members, we're just going to go ahead and click the pencil and paper icon. Oh, sorry, we're going to click the title. The pencil and paper icon is to edit the actual settings for the committee. So here we'll see we have a few tabs here. So we'll start with the members. I can go ahead and click add member. You'll see this page where you can actually select a specific member. You can set their position. So if I want this to be an admin, and we can select their access level. So member can go in and access the committee, whereas a secretary, administrator, or chair can edit the committee. So since we have this person as an admin, we're going to click secretary or administrator, and we're going to click save. And we can see that member has been added. And I'm going to go back here for a second because we have one set up that I do want to show. So if we go to website, we have our members for this committee. But if we go to subcommittees, we can actually create committees within committees. So within our website committee, we have a website design committee, as well as a website content committee. So I can go into this website design committee and I can view the members further. And if I go back, the same for the website content. So it's just a committee within a committee. You'll also notice that we have the option for documents and email. It is important to note that these options, as well as adding multiple layers of subcommittees, are included with the enhanced version of the committee module. So if you do want to store documents in a specific committee, you can do that. It is, you do need the enhanced version, but that definitely can be done. And we do have the option to send an email. So if the club does want to, or if a member of the committee wants to send an email to other committee members directly from the committee, that can be done from here. And just like any of the other modules, on the left, we do have a few reports. So we can view the committee listing, as well as members that are in committees and members that are not in committees. And they all allow you to configure it a little differently. So you can see here the dates we can set to all years or current year, and that allows you to view the information that you want. So we do have reports in the committee module as well. And we are coming up to our Q&A session. So one last thing I do want to touch on is the reports. In Club Runner, we have a lot of modules where you can enter information and manage that, but you can use the reports to actually view all of that, that information. So on the menu bar near the top, we're going to click Reports, and we can see down below that we have a bunch of different report options. eDirectory reports and eDirectory Builder, you can actually create your own custom reports. We do have a lot of kind of demographic type reports. You have, your years of service, age distribution, gender distribution, rule of 85, as well as birthdays and anniversaries, login activity, so we can track who's logged in recently. We also have a download member data report, which can be used to extract any information regarding the members from Club Runner. So you can definitely use that. And then the last two here are the member activity and the club activity. And there's a lot of information that gets calculated for those two reports. And I know we do have a dedicated session on reports because there's a lot to cover. And that will be at 10:30 a.m. Tomorrow, so day 2. And again, that is our time. So here in Toronto, it's Eastern time. So if you do want to learn more about reports in depth, definitely check out our session tomorrow. Again, that is 10:30 Eastern time. So that about wraps it up for the session here today. I did have one question for you guys just before I pass it off for question and answers. I'm just curious to know if you guys can type in the chat box. Let us know if your club utilizes all of the different modules available in Club Runner, and if not, let us know which ones the club does use and which ones the club doesn't use. We'd be very interested to know kind of where the clubs are using most of the modules. So in the chat box, definitely let us know which modules the club uses the most. And we'll definitely have a look at that. So with that being said, that does conclude our session, and I will pass it off to Omar to start the Q&A session.
Yes, thank you, Shawn. It was wonderful. Great presentation. I do have some questions from the audience here. I'm gonna give you a softball. What is the difference between date joined club and date joined rotary?
So perfect. Thank you, Omar. So the date joined Rotary is the date that member joined Rotary. So for example, if a member joined a club back in a few years ago, and then they left for some reason, if they joined the club again, that joined Rotary date would remain the same, whereas the date joined club would be the date that they joined the club most recently.
Perfect, perfect. So another question, how would we handle associate members who may be listed as satellite members or coming from corporations? So how would we sort of mark those members?
Okay, so it's up to the club how they want to handle the corporate members. It's a great question. We do get that often. So what clubs will either do is usually they'll have one primary member that they synchronize up to Rotary International. And then they have the secondary members listed under the other user list, which, as mentioned, does not synchronize up to Rotary. So if you want to do that, if you go to the Add New Member page, under membership type, we do have active satellite and we have active corporate here. And this is going to be the one that synchronizes up to Rotary International. So it depends on how the club wants to handle it.
Yep, awesome. Another question we have is if a member chooses to opt out of emails or bulletins, what are they like? What are they declining from receiving from their club?
So it depends on what they opt out of. So let me open up my profile here and we'll take a look at the privacy settings. So we'll take a look here under communication preferences. We have club emails. So if they opt out of that, they'll still receive the club bulletin, but emails sent from the email services that we took a look at earlier, they would not receive that.
Perfect. Yep. And I've gotten most of the questions here, but let me just sift through some more here. One question is, how do I create a donation page on the homepage? Or, well, I think in this case, they're asking how to use the donation module to have that link appear on the homepage.
Yeah, so the donation, in order to get that donation page set up, you will have to set up the donation module, which I know we will touch on in the financials session, which I believe is tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. So definitely tune in for that.
Okay, I've got one more question. Can you email or print statements for member accounts? Thank you for your question, Jill.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks, Omar. Yeah, that's a great question. So we can. So if we go back to dues and billing, account statements, and we have the options up at the top. So we can select all members here, and we can send statement by email. So you do have that option to send them out. And like I said, if you do want to see a specific members, you can click show transaction and you can print the report directly from here as well. So
awesome. So yep, that's how we can definitely send them their account statements. Another question is how to bring prior year committees into the current year.
perfect. Yeah, let's take a look at that. So under organization committees, so right now we're in 2020-21. Just to show you, if I go to the next year, we have no committees defined. So if I go back to the current year, say I want specifically this website committee to transfer over, go ahead and open it. And you'll see on the right here, there is a carry this committee over to the next year. If you go ahead and click on that, you'll see now we're in 2021-22, and we have our committee. Now, if I go back to yearly committee, just to confirm, I'm going to go to the next year, and there we go. We have our committee for the next year.
Perfect. I've got just a few more questions here. I think in this case the customer is asking about the user is asking about a sponsor. But let's see here. Would satellite member include the spouse of a member that we set up as a family membership? I really think they're asking is there a sponsor that we can associate to the member? So is there somewhere they can mark that information, Shawn?
So what were they looking?
The question specifically is, would satellite member include the spouse of a member that we set up as a family membership? I'm pretty sure they're asking about getting a sponsor listed for their membership. So where would they mark that information in the member account?
If you're looking to enter in like spousal information, if we go back to, let's go to my profile here.
I think you have it correct there, Shawn. Yes, rather spouse information than sponsor information. Pardon me.
That's okay. So if we go to my profile, if we scroll down under member details, we do have, you'll see here spouse, partner, first name, last name, date of birth. So we do have some very basic information that you can enter about your spouse or partner. And it is important to note that this will just belong to this member profile. Adding information here does not give them a separate member record.
Perfect. And one more question from Jim N. When you add a committee, is the committee added to the groups in the email, or do you need to create an email group? So how would you sort of work to email a committee using ClubRunner?
So if, like I mentioned, if the club has the enhanced version, they can go into the individual committee and send the email directly from there. If we go to email services, it does not create its own group, but what you can do is you can create a contact group for that, and then that way they can still maintain communication through the group.
Through the group, yes, perfect, perfect. Let me just sift through some more questions. We've definitely gone through quite a few. Just bear with me here. Here we go. Is there a way to limit the website from showing all exec phone numbers on the club executives page? From Richard A. So I think in this case, they're asking, are the executive numbers available on the public website? I believe they're already logged in, and that information appears for them. But perhaps we could show that to them.
If they are logged in, they may see some basic information. So let's take a look here.
I think, sorry, I think the executives, there we are.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. So you can see here, because we're logged in, I do see the profile image, which I alluded to in the club information section. We can opt out of displaying that, but we also have some basic information about the member. And again, that's only if the member is logged in.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. So I guess this is the what I want to ask here is how would they go around reordering? I mean, this is probably more for the website designer, but how would they reorder widgets on the homepage? I see we are getting a question about sort of organizing the widgets on the homepage.
Yeah, so what I would do, we actually have some great resources on our clubrunnersupport.com. So we actually have a recorded webinar that walks through the entire Live Designer. So I would definitely take a look at that. If you look up Live Designer, it should come up. Yep, so we can see here website Live Designer webinar, and that'll walk you through the entire process of using that Live Designer webinar and rearranging the widgets as well.
Perfect.
So I think, Omar, are we okay with the questions?
Yeah, I'm seeing we've got a lot of the questions, more comments now than questions, but hey, we're looks good.
Perfect. So thank you very much, Omar, for running that Q&A session. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Hopefully you found that useful. And if you do have any questions, or if you're not sure, you can definitely use our clubrunnersupport.com website, which we have here. And we also have our Club Runner community website that you can log into and post any ideas or feedback or anything like that. So definitely use those two resources. And with that being said, thank you, everybody. And I'm going to pass it back to our MC, Mickey.
Thank you, everyone.